So as you mentioned, the modelling for the smoke-free legislation indicated that between 4,000 and 8,000 lives would be saved. Will your tobacco policy save more or fewer lives?
If we continue to drive down the smoking rates, the expectation would be yes.
No,
and just make this clear, Whānau, as well. The driving down smoking rates is not a national policy. That is a current trend. So if we continue, what he's saying is if the current trend continues that we've seen over the last several years, then yes, we will. It's not that national or the NACT NZ government will do anything new to drive that down. It's the current trend, and I think we did that when we drew where the line would come down to about the same, and it's something like 2060. It's some ridiculous number away, and for that subsequent 25, 35 years, there's all the dead New Zealanders. Do you want to say anything yet, Clint, or should we play to the end of this?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I'll try my best not to interrupt.
Understand that you would be yes to what?
Yes to reducing rates.
No. The question was more or fewer.
Oh, we would need to model that.
Yeah. So you're telling me that you're working on smoking legislation that ultimately may save fewer lives, according to modelling, than the previous laws that were in place.
Oh, look, I need to see that modelling myself. That's not in my purview.
Well,
what I've committed to is to continue to drive down the smoking rates.
This is an absolutely vital point.
And what's also important is that this is a collective cabinet decision. Just before you say, Shane, this is a you decision, this is a collective cabinet decision.
I understand. This is an absolutely vital point. I mean, given your expertise in this space, given your lifetime of work seeking to better the health of your communities, I want to be totally clear. Will the smoke-free work that you put in place, having scrapped the previous smoke-free legislation, save more or fewer lives than the previous legislation was modelled to save?
So that will need to be modelled on the proposals that we're bringing forward, and we remain committed to driving down those smoking rates.
Will you support it if your modelling suggests that your smoke-free work will save fewer lives than the previous?
That's a hypothetical. I would need to see that first of all to make that.
Okay, bad answer. Because you're saying if the modelling shows you that it's fewer, will you still support it? There's a bad answer, Clint. Are we agreeing that that's a bad answer?
All questions about the future hypotheticals.
Yeah.
The politicians do that because there's a rule in Parliament in question time that you don't have to answer about hypotheticals, and then they try to run the same rules in these questions, and it doesn't apply. Of course,
Jack's got one more interesting question about the Associate Health Minister, which we'll play.
That sort of decision.
It's not a hypothetical. This is
completely hypothetical. We remain committed to driving down smoking rates. We've had one of the biggest drops without that.
I understand you're committed to it, but I'm asking whether or not yours is going to save more or fewer lives. To the best of your knowledge, has your Associate Health Minister had any contact with tobacco lobbyists?
I believe she has said no, so not to the best of my knowledge.
There you go. And that is the interview. So, yeah, he did an answer towards the end, and as you were saying, I think he answered more than many, and like we'll give him some credit for that. But this idea of saying it is a hypothetical, like you say, any question in the future is a hypothetical, but it's the hypothetical is set in front of you, so you can answer based on that hypothetical. Should your legislation lead to fewer New Zealanders breathing, more New Zealanders dying, will you still support it? No, I'm not going to answer that. It's hypothetical. It's like, well, there was a pretty good barriers around that hypothetical for a yes or a no, Clint.
Yeah, and it's the whole logic of what you're doing, right? Like, if your alternatives result in more Kiwis dying, then it's immoral. Because you've rolled back the laws that were going to be more effective as a tax grab, so that you could then fund tax cuts for landlords. And so, yeah, the whole morality of what you're doing falls down if your alternatives aren't better. So, yeah, it matters hugely.
Yeah.
But I look at Reti's face, and I have mixed feelings about this. I have some sympathy because he's clearly uncomfortable with the truth of what he's discussing here. And when he says it's collective cabinet responsibility, what he's saying is, I'm a member of cabinet. I have to say in public that I back this. That's the rules.
Right.
Of course, he doesn't have to. No one's making him be a member of cabinet. He could quit if he really felt badly about it. And so I have this double feeling about this. He clearly doesn't like that the smoking laws have been rolled back, but he hasn't had the moral strength to go, I'm not going to put my name to it. I actually think that if he had stood up in cabinet and said, I'm the health minister, I'm Maori GP from the far north who's seen, dozens, maybe hundreds of lung cancer cases in my time, and I'm not going to back this policy, and I'll cross the floor, I'll leave the party over it, then I don't think it would have happened. I think Luxon would have backed out. But, well, if he cares, then he should have risked it. What's the worst that happens? He goes back to being a GP. Stand for something, and because this isn't small beer, this is thousands of lives. You're a GP. You've come to Parliament to improve the health system.